sales is the most lucrative skill in the world, period. The problem is most sales advice out there today is outdated, cheesy, and can even keep you from getting the deals that can make all the difference in your career. This is the No BS Sales School, a podcast for entrepreneurs and salespeople who want to master the skill of selling without all the BS. Welcome to the No BS Sales School podcast. I'm your host, Walker McKay. Today, I want to talk to you about one of my favorite subjects. It's networking. And maybe you think that's because I love networking, because I like people, and neither of those things are true. I don't like networking. I don't do it for fun. I do it because it's my job. I do it because I'm going there with a purpose to go meet people that I need to meet. So what I was going to share with you is some of the tips I have for networking, especially for people who don't like networking, who aren't comfortable with it, who don't like the conversations that they feel like they have to have at networking events. So let's start. First of all, what is networking? Networking is going out anytime you're around at least one other person. We can call it networking, right? There's an opportunity to meet someone else and figure out if there's a way you can help them with their business or their life, right? So the purpose of networking, quite frankly, is to go to give, not to take. I know how many these like the junior freaking salespeople that go to these things that have networking in the title, which are the worst. I hate networking events with networking in the title. Mostly because it's just a bunch of salespeople shoving their own business cards in other people's pockets, right? And you go home and you pull out a stack of business cards like, who are these chumps? And you throw it away. Does anybody even carry business cards anymore? I hadn't had one for 12 years. I don't use them. I would recommend you not use them. Here's what I would suggest. Networking is a good way to connect with people maybe that you hadn't been able to connect with before. It can be, right? It's certainly more fun than cold calling. But I want you to see it as working. It's the second part of networking is working. Most people see networking as going to a party, drinking beer with their friends, eating shrimp, catching a free buzz, and then certainly not driving home drunk, but going home after that, or maybe going out after that. Me, networking is part of my job. I take it very seriously. And so when I go to some place where I'm going to be around other people, right? Other business people, the first thing I do is I have a goal for myself. This is the goal for when I can go home, when I don't have to do this anymore. And I don't mean to sound so cynical, but this is work, right? And if I've worked all day and then I happen to be going to some place to be around a bunch of other business people, I want to know when it's time that I can quit. So I'll give myself a goal, like I'm going to meet 2 people that I can call about business in the next 48 hours or the next business day or 2. So that's my goal. As soon as I find those 2 people, have a quick conversation with them, I can either go and hang out with my friends or more likely go home, which is what I'd much rather do, right? So let's break this down a little bit. Who are you trying to meet at a networking event? Who are you trying to meet? I came up with 6 topics, 6 people I might be trying to meet. Number 1, of course, I'd like to meet my ideal prospect. I'd like to meet somebody who's the owner or the CEO of a company with a sales team of 8 to 25 salespeople, or an entrepreneur, founder, or a highly driven salesperson that's willing to invest in themselves to get better at, get a better skill at what they do to make a living for their family, right? So those are my 2 ideal prospects. That's who I'm looking for. Business owner, CEO, 8 to 25 salespeople, or an owner, entrepreneur, or a salesperson that needs to learn to sell better themselves and they invest in themselves. Number 2, I want to meet other people that are in my ideal prospects companies, right? Maybe meet a salesperson or 2, maybe meet a sales manager. Maybe I meet the CFO or the VP of something, and I can ask them questions about the company, maybe get an introduction to the person I need to meet. So that's number 2. Number 3 kind of person I want to meet is people who sell to my ideal prospects. Who else calls on them? What do they sell to them, right? I'm looking for somebody who's credible, maybe who sells like I do and sells into my ideal prospect. And if that's the case, maybe this way we can help each other. Maybe this way we can help each other. That's another one I want to meet. Next, I want to talk to people who are trusted advisors to my ideal prospect. Maybe it's a lawyer, maybe it's a consultant, maybe they're accountants. I think accountants get hammered with this. But somebody who is a trusted advisor to my ideal prospect. Maybe they're an EOS implementer. Maybe it is a Vistage chair. That's who I want to meet. They're people who are advisors to people that I want to meet, right? So that's great. They can get me there in the right place. Number 5, and I think this is among the least effective referrers, and I think this probably sounds like surprising to some of you, but maybe friends of my ideal prospect. Now, take this for what it is. Any of y'all have friends whom you love and you hang out with, maybe you have dinner with on a regular basis, maybe you know their kids, but if they were to make a suggestion to you about business, they wouldn't be somebody you take advice from. I mean, I got friends like that. I got plenty of friends like that. Now, I love my friends, but maybe I'm not taking business advice from all of them. A lot of times we put a lot of weight on, this person's best friends with so-and-so, they can help me get in. I think a lot of that's just bullshit, right? I don't think that works very often. I'd rather find somebody who is in their company, who's a trusted advisor, who works with them, who sells to them, than somebody who's a buddy with, because I think that often doesn't work. And the last thing, this may sound kind of strange, I want to meet people who are passionate about something. I don't care if that is the environment. I don't care if that's fly fishing, if it's collecting stamps, if it is whatever they're passionate about. Why am I interested in those people? Because I think they're interesting. And you know what? They know other people who are passionate about the same thing. So why in the hell would I want to meet one of those? Because when you meet somebody else who has the same passion and you introduce those two people, that's very powerful. You're doing a favor. And that's how I want you to look at this, is not what can I get from this, but how can I connect? How can I connect this person with somebody else? Y'all have heard me talk about this before. I believe that, among the different ways to break up the world, to whatever, one are people who take and the other are people who give. Now, I think being a giver is a choice. I think you have to make a conscious choice to be somebody who gives to other people. The people that give to other people, I find, are the best, most effective networkers. Their goal is to find out, how can I help somebody else in this room, in this place that I have met, right? How can I do that? So find those people who are passionate. Find those people, maybe your ideal prospects, people that can get you to your ideal prospects. The higher up the chain as far as trust. And, again, we go back to the friend thing. Maybe there's trust. Maybe it's just like. Y'all have friends you like but don't trust. I don't mean to hammer that too much, but yes, right? For business stuff. So now you're at the networking event. You've already decided what your goals are. You've already decided who the people are you're trying to find, to connect with, to talk to figure out who you can call about business in the next couple of days, right? Couple of rules. Don't sell at the event. Don't go there with the idea, I'm going to close this person. What I want you to do is go to the event with being sincerely curious. They call it a childlike brain, don't make any assumptions about anybody. Go there and be curious and ask people about themselves. Ask people, I've got this great pattern that I use, and it's so simple that even an introvert can use it. And by the way, I think introverts can be some of the best salespeople, and extroverts are usually people who talk too damn much, but we can go on there in a minute. I want you to think about this pattern for networking, to have conversations, because I hear this all the time. What am I supposed to say? I don't know what to say. I don't like to have bullshit conversations. Got it. It's an excuse. I'm giving you the words to use. It's called present, past, future. Present, past, future. Here's what that means. When you're talking to somebody right now, maybe you can ask them the boring question, hey, what do you do? Hey, what do you do? And then, what do you do in the present, right? And then as a follow-up, tell me more about that. What does that mean? What kind of, who do you work with? Who are the customers you're trying to meet? Who are the people here you're trying to meet? What's the hardest part about doing what you do? What's the most interesting thing? That kind of stuff, right? You could go on for an hour. But as soon as you decide to transition, you can go back to past. So tell me something. How'd you get in that business? What were you doing before? How did that happen? What made you decide to go work for the company you're working with now? Or what was the thing that made you say, you know what? It's time for me to start my own company. What was it? Right? Did you ever think as a child you'd be doing this? What did you think you'd be doing? Do you hear me here, right? All I'm doing is being sincerely curious. Now I'm asking about how they got to where they are today. And once I've fully explored that with 2 questions or 50 questions, next I can go to future, right? What happens next? So how long do you think you'll be doing that? Let's pretend it's 3 or 4 years from now and you're saying, holy shit, this is great. It's exactly where I want to be. What will that look like? What will you be doing then? Who will be with you? Here's the thing. It's up to your imagination, the kind of questions you can ask. What I have come to find is that I do find people fascinating. People are so interesting and they never get to tell their story. They rarely get to tell their story. And if you give somebody a chance to tell their story, share their opinions about their life, you've done something special and they'll remember you. And when you call, they'll take your call. Here's the transition, right? When you're talking to somebody and you want to figure out, should this be somebody I call for business? Here's the transition. You know what? You seem like somebody I ought to know better. I'd love to have a business conversation with you. You open to taking a call from me next couple of days? Boom. You know what? You seem like somebody I ought to know better. I'd love to have a business conversation with you. You okay if I call you next couple of days? Not many people are going to turn you down. And if they're going to turn you down there, aren't you glad you know now before you waste a phone call? Right? Show up, be curious, go to give. Here's another question you can ask somebody. Who are you trying to meet? Who are the people here today you're trying to meet? Maybe I know somebody and I'd be happy to introduce you. Go with the idea of being a giver. If somebody says, hey, do you have a business card? I would say, I don't carry those, or I didn't bring one with me. How about give me one of yours? I'll call you. Give me one of those. I'll call you. And then when I take their business card, I'll write on the back, said to call about X. And then I'm in control. And when I go home the next day, I can call. If you give your business card out, you're no longer in control. They're deciding whether or not to call you. Networking is a skill. Most of the people I find that say they love to network, it just means they love to go drink beer and hang out with their friends. And who the hell doesn't like that? But that's not working. That's just going to hang out with your friends and drink beer, which has its place. And I love that place. I'm Walker McKay with No BS Sales. Share this with somebody else that needs to hear it. Somebody that maybe you feel like needs a little help getting better at networking, or they're already a pro and they need something to tighten up what they're doing. If you want to talk about helping your sales team, if you're ready to ramp it up and be prepared for what's coming next in the economy, give me a call, 803-917-2817, or send me an email, walker@walkermckay.com. Thanks for listening. Share this with somebody else who needs to know. Thanks for listening to the No BS Sales School podcast. If you haven't already, please take 1 minute to write a quick review for the show. It really does make a huge difference. Also, subscribe to the show and please forward this episode to somebody else who needs to hear it. As a bonus for listening, I'm going to give you access to a free mini course, 7 expensive sales mistakes you're making and what you can do about it. Go to www.7salesmistakes.com and get access to the free mini course. That's the number 7salesmistakes.com. Thanks again for listening to the No BS Sales School podcast.